My father had a fairly large record collection, and in it were a lot of AACM cats. So, Threadgill, Anthony Braxton, Muhal, and when I started piano, when I started at age 6, I wasn't paying attention to what he's listening to or what he collected over years. And by the time, I'd say maybe I was 17 and late in high school, when I started kind of listening to other people, I was listening to Wynton Kelly and McCoy and Thelonious Monk and Herbie Hancock, but I also started listening to Andrew Hill, like Herbie Nichols, and that's when I found Muhal Richard Abrams. And Muhal was kind of suggesting something else for the piano. In the same way when I heard, say, when I was listening to people like John Coltrane, and then I heard Sam Rivers proposed something else for the saxophone. And I thought, this is peculiar, you know? And I remember listening to like a record, Afro Song, you know, and thinking, wow, this doesn't sound like any of the pianists that I'd been listening to previously. And that, you know, that's what starts my mind saying, okay, wow, the writing, the compositions are different. His touch on the piano is different. But it's all informed, you know. You hear these gestures towards Scott Joplin, you know, or ragtime or stride piano. But it's like, you know, it moves so far and so free away. So I really thank my father for kind of having, I don't know, he's kind of a wild sensibility about the music he likes. And that is what then led me down a track to then finding a record and saying, oh, who is this guy? Muhal Richard Abrams. Then there was this opportunity where I was maybe 24, probably, in the late 90s. And I was able to study with Muhal Richard Abrams. So I would go to his apartment and I would take my tape recorder and I would play a little bit, and then he'd say, okay, stop, you know, and he'd say, you were gonna go up, but then you stopped. Why don't you just go all the way up? You know, like, whoa. like, you know, like there was a cutoff that was happening just in my technique that he's saying, but you haven't even experienced what the rest of this reach is on the instrument, just on the instrument, let alone then think about composition in the same manner, you know? So that was exciting because he was like, oh man, Jason, you gotta write every day. I write every day. I could see this file cabinet over here. It's full, you know, he's like, I write every day. This is what I was writing this morning, you know, before you came. And it's like, ooh, I hadn't met any person like this with this much energy. And also it's kind of, you know, explaining the process in a way that makes it totally accessible to me as a young musician. So he's talking about how to address the piano. He's talking about sound. He's talking about harmony. You know, he's talking about rhythm. Then he starts talking about composition using rhythm. You know, and then I started taking these, you know, lessons with him also to study composition, you know, in a kind of a informal way. And it was amazing, you know, just because he was so ready to share. I just remember being in there thinking, if I do this, if I do what he's asking, I'll be a different person. You know, like how my whole mind would change. It's very simple. He said, you know, you can write every day and you can just take 3 rules, right? One rule might say you can't have any notes more than 3 in a row going in one direction. Another rule might be no 8th notes, right? Another rule might be no intervals smaller than a 1/6. And then on the subway home, just write something. And then when you get home, play it, see what it sounds like. And I would do that, and then I bring them back. He said, it doesn't sound like anything you would normally write, would it? And it didn't. And that's what he wanted, you know, because it could still be you, because you were still making decisions. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't random. You're still making, if you choose F, you've chosen F. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Those are beautiful things. I mean, if there's a kind of I don't know if there's any theme that he really like gives you the kernel and then just watches you kick it around, you know, and you kicking it around is the process that he wants you to engage with. I mean, there are major lessons, there, you know, not only things about piano, but just, you know, just about life. Say, this piano back here, when I started studying with him, I didn't have my piano in New York. And he said, Jason, you need to get a piano to your house. And I just graduated college, and I guess I hadn't thought that I needed a piano. and Muhal's one said, no, you should get a piano to your house, you know? And it was right around the time I was about to sign a record deal with Blue Note Records, and he was saying, you know, people are gonna say a lot of things to you about what you should do, but nobody can come into your house and take your hands off of your piano. It lifts a great weight once you understand this very simple fact about what you're supposed to do as an artist, or what maybe a goal is, or what your process is, that those are yours to own, right? They're not for anyone else to come and tamper with, you know? And those are the things I was hearing at the beginning of my career from a person who's as, you know, kind of iconic as Muhal. And it felt like he was like, you know, saying, this is the way. And shoving me really hard. There you go, see how it goes. And every couple of years we run into each other and he says something else, you know, that kind of keeps me like tempting me further and further out, you know? And it's inspirational, you know, for not only for myself, but I know for many other people in the scene. I mean, this is a person that's full of life, full of love, you know? That's, you know, that's real. It's just real.